Today we're going to talk about customers and how you can find the right customers. Now, I know that sounds a little bit on the crazy side that you're not supposed to be finding customers. Customers are supposed to be finding you. But the truth is that if you're not looking for the right kind of customers, if you're not in the right place to get hold of the right kind of customers, then you're going to be left with customers that are going to cost you money and time and everything else. So what this exercise is presenting you with a different kind of thought on how to address your customers and how to pick the right ones. What we're going to do is we're going to use a SWOT analysis, which is a business tool that is used to kind of categorize the strengths and weaknesses of any kind of topic that you have within the business model. So if it's your business, a lot of people use it to as an overall structure to evaluate their business. You can use it on products. You can use it just about anywhere. Just taking those items and sticking it into the slots that are available, and I'll show you just here in a minute. Um, and creating a an evaluation or an analysis of the topic in such a way that you're able to, highlight those sections that you like the most and address those issues that you don't like. SWOT means uh, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. SWOT, and those are the four categories that we're going to place the um, customer in today and try to evaluate what it takes to make a strong customer and what it takes to point out a bad customer or a customer that is just really not uh, attractive to the kind of business that we're doing. Strength is really anything that's going to allow you to get your customer in a position where they're going to give you the most amount of money for the least amount of effort. Now, that sounds really, really simple, but it boils down to just that. Customers that are close, customers that have cash, customers that want your product, customers that have a need for your service or product. Those are the ones that you're looking for. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the weakness. If it's not a strength, it's probably going to be a weakness. Now, not all strengths or weaknesses, not all lacks of strengths or weaknesses, and not all lacks of weaknesses or strengths, but they do go hand in hand. A weakness is those things that are going to hinder your business. And in our model, we're doing a party rental business, so a weakness would be something that would slow us down, that would cause us to give a discount or would cause us, to not be able to move on to a different customer and make more money. Um, so again, those kind of work hand in hand with the strengths. Opportunities are is that they're as important as strengths, but the difference between a strength and an opportunity is an opportunity is something that has not quite yet come to fruition. So it's a possible rental, a customer, a future customer, those kind of things, a lead, any of those things that you can think of that will give you future business, and that is hugely important. But it is not as good as a strength because remember, strength is money in hand, and that's where we're trying to get is running a business. We're trying to put money in the hand. So opportunities again are important, not quite as good as a strength. And then finally, threats. Um, Threats are things that you cannot control, outside influence and things like that you really don't have any control over that can affect it as well. Value and effort are what we use to determine the success of a sale. We want maximum value and um, as little effort as possible to get the value. And value can mean a lot of things. It doesn't necessarily mean money, although money is the biggest probably the top definition or category that it falls under. Um, but a value can also mean exposure, return business, good reviews or referrals, and obviously, feeling good about what you're doing. Um, Effort can mean obviously, physical work or the work that is needed to get in to the sale or the service, but it does not always mean just the physical labor side of it. It also can mean time or money or resources or any of those things that are causing you or costing you in order to get that value. So we have the four categories: strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat, and they all fall in these kind of a circular patterns in this diagram here, and they overlap. Some customers will have strengths that include some weaknesses and opportunities and even some threats, and vice versa. And what you want to do is find the customer that is highest in the strength. Ideally, the best customer is one that offers you the highest strength with some opportunity and the least amount of weakness and threat. But I'm going to show you some different kind of customers that fall into different categories and how those can also be valuable, and you can learn how to mitigate some of the other stuff, to balance it out so that they'll be good customers. And again, the customer falls over all the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. You just got to make sure that you're looking for the customer that falls mainly in the positive categories. Strength, an example of a strong a strength or a strong customer is one that pays the premium price, does it in very little time and very little requirements, manpower, those kind of things that would hinder you, so that you can move on to another one and make some more money. Things that fall underneath strength, obviously, money, getting the most amount of money out of the customer, the speed in which you do it, the automation. If anything is done automatically, if they can book it themselves, if they can close it out themselves, obviously, uh, those kind of things make it easier on you and add to the strength. And then flexibility. If the customer isn't isn't really uptight about a time schedule or something like that, it's usually good, and it reflects a strength within them. Weaknesses usually are the opposite of strengths, but the thing about a weakness is that you can mitigate it most times with a strength. So, for instance, if a customer is requiring more manpower, you can literally ask for more money. If a customer has a time constraint, you can kind of adjust your schedule, so that you're in there at a different time or out of their way at a different time. So weaknesses can be kind of balanced by the strengths. You will also come in an opportunity where if you come across a weakness that is a fault of the business service that you're providing, you can use the strength to counteract it by offering discounts or by doing the kind of things that the customer will accept in lieu of a satisfaction blip. So a discounted price on a unit that is a few minutes late or something like that. Again, those kind of work hand in hand. Some weaknesses, obviously, the price is discounted. Manpower, if it takes a lot of manpower, that's a weakness. If it's time intensive, that can be a weakness. And distance is also a weakness. If you're driving, you're not you're not providing the service. You're spending time that is making you lose time that could be used in different rentals and different services that your business provides. Opportunity, again, is something that is designed for future business. It's great to develop your opportunities, but you cannot depend on your opportunities because opportunities don't pay the bills. It's actual sales that pay the bills. So focusing on opportunities is great, but you cannot rely solely on opportunities. Opportunities offer you exposure, return business, which is great because if you don't have to find a customer, then it's good for you. Publicity. Publicity is a little different from exposure. Exposure is somebody seeing your product and saying, "Hey, I like that." Publicity is actively going out and showing it to them through like social media or a news article or something like that. So it's a little bit more intensive. And then obviously positivity, getting a positive reaction from people for the services or business that you provide can be beneficial to your business and provide you with opportunities. And finally, threats. Threats, again, are the things that are outside of your control, like the weather, that can harm your business. Um, Again, some of the categories: weather, inflation. If the price of gas goes up and you're in a delivery business, then obviously that's going to be a hindrance to you. Um, Crime, um, and environmental. Environmental includes anything that is outside of your control. COVID is a prime example of how an environmental threat can harm your business, and it's not a whole lot you can do about it. Um, so kind of keep those in mind. Again, you can limit your exposure to some of these, and in some cases you can use them for your advantage. For instance, weather. If the weather's bad and you have an opportunity to go indoors with your product, it helps the customer. It helps you, and you know it can be. Although you cannot prevent the weather, you can change the location and avoid the threat that's out there. And the same with some of the other stuff. Again, this graphic here kind of shows the combinations that are out there and what kind of customers come out of those. Um, I'm going to give you guys some examples of my business of customers that occur and how they influence um, my business and how they can kind of fall into these categories. All of those will have some sort of strength and some sort of weakness. Now, on the strength side, we have a lot of things going on. A backyard party usually has security of a home and a homeowner, so I don't have to worry about it. There's a guaranteed payout. They know what the price is. They expect a product for the price, the whole nine yards. I can put it in there. There's ease of access. Usually there's some flexibility there with getting it in there at a certain time and getting back in there and picking it up. There's not a lot of weakness as far as me having to stay with a unit or anything like that because they're usually staying with the homeowner who knows how to follow the rules and watch the children. So I'm not there watching the kids. On the flip side, there's the weaknesses are is you got to make sure that there are some things that can be obstacles and you got to plan for those. If there's a backyard and there's a fence, and obviously you got to carry this unit in there. If it's a big unit, it may take several guys to get it in there. Just those kind of things. Everything from, gated communities can be a situation where you got to figure out how to get in and out of there at a certain time, or someone who's having a party that runs over and you don't want to enter, into the middle of their party and say, "Oh, your time is up. I got to get my unit." But how do you, explain to the customer that their time is up? So those kind of things you gotta have to work through. Another example of a customer that may be more on the weakness side, but provides some strength, which is the opposite of that, would be like if we were doing a big festival or a church event that has a lot of units in one spot. So The delivery is not everywhere. There's not a lot of travel, but they are more labor intensive because you gotta man the units and watch the kids, and they have some strengths in that there's exposure there. There's a lot of people at the event, and they see you and they get your business card and they may rent from you. So the exposure is good. But again, on the weakness side, or even the threat side, you have to worry about weather. You have to worry about, because it's set on a certain day. You have to worry about um, security, because you can't leave your units there overnight and come back, or set them up early, and anything like that, because it's in an open area or a public area. So those kind of things you have to kind of keep in mind. Also, filling out all the other things, like making sure you have enough power and things like that. The unknowns that are there, that usually you don't have those with a homeowner, because you know that they have plugs in their house. So you need to make sure that you cover all your bases. Um, One of the worst, um, an event that offers a lot of opportunity and a lot of strength. Those are your best, because it provides you with an ability to make the money and also make future money. But one of the worst is something that has a lot of threat, and a lot of weakness. And those kind of events usually revolve around somebody who maybe is putting together an event, but they haven't advertised it well, and they want to pay you after the event, because they want to charge per player, and get money back and then pay you back. And there's just a lot of things on the outside that can go wrong. They don't get enough customers, so they don't make enough money, and then they want a discount. Or it's in an open area, a public area, so you got a constrained time period to get the stuff in there and out, and there's just not a whole lot of wiggle room. Those kind of things are the worst um, customers that you can have, and they're hard to mitigate, because they have set expectations, and they also have constraints that are outside of their control and outside of your control. So the best thing that you can do is try to uh, talk to them and guide them in the right direction as to what would be most beneficial to them. If they're raising money for someone and you want to do the right thing, instead of putting your equipment out there and not making them any money, think about just giving them a donation and saying, "Listen, I can't do it right now. My stuff is going out. It's busy. I make X amount of dollars on these, and I will actually lose money on this. But what I will do, my company will, provide you guys with a discount, or lower their expectations, and let them know that, six bounce houses at their event is not going to do good, but you'll do one you'll do one bounce house or one slide or something that the kids can move through." I've also said that I will share the risk with them, but they have to cover my costs. So what I do is I say, "You need to pay me X amount of dollars so that I can pay my laborers to set this unit up, and then you can have it at a discounted price. And I don't expect to make any money off of this, but I do cover my cost on it." Those kind of things you can do to kind of mitigate the weakness, and again, hopefully get around some of the threats. An event that has a good opportunity, but also has some weakness or a threat, those kind of events, you need to change your expectations on those. There's going to be times in your business where you need to um, do your business for business, and whether you're doing it as a means to get the exposure, or do the right thing, or whatever reason other than money, or other than the initial thought in your brain was to do the business. Change your expectation that the one thing that you can do to help, lower the risk and lower the weakness and threat on you is to lower the time. Time always equals weakness and threat. So if you can lower the time on an event that has a lot of opportunity, but also some threat and some weakness, then you are working in your best interest to do that. Um, don't put something out there, for a full day if you can get away with a couple of hours and still get that opportunity, and that exposure. All right. Well, those are some ideas. Those are some kind of a broad look at your customers. Kind of keep those things in mind, and eventually you can get to the point where it's just second nature, and as soon as you talk to a customer on the phone, you know exactly what you're going to need and where they stand in their risk assessment, um, for your product or service. Um, Using this is a really good way to make sure you're covering all your bases and you're thinking about things that you normally don't think about. So take the time and put a little analysis into your customers, and also use this to develop the kind of customer that you want, and use that to develop your marketing plan as well. If the backyard party is the way that you want to go, then that's where you need to market, which means you need to be hitting the customers that kind of customer would come out of, hitting the populations where that kind of customers would come out of. If you wanted to work on something that is a little more um, opportunity and strength, but has some weakness, like your festivals and things like that, that's kind of a different approach, and needs a little bit of a different mindset. Those you have to go look for. You have to find those festivals. You have to find those events. You have to go to the churches and ask them, what kind of big events and festivals are they going to have, and can your products help them, achieve what they need. Those usually can last several years, and are good, but you can get them as quick as you lose them. I mean, you can lose them as quick as you get them, and you can also have some changes in their desires and their needs. So you got to kind of pivot every time they need something different. You're going to have to be able to fill that void. So kind of keep all that in mind, and I appreciate you guys. Appreciate your time, and thanks a lot.